Hello, and welcome to another rambling with Jamster. This is a bit different. We're not inside at the moment. Various reasons. My room is in a bit of a state at the moment. I'm cleaning out all my old clothes that don't fit me because it's just been something I put off for so long. So there's a lot of clothes. I can tell you that. So this will be the second rambling of Jamster. Rambling with Jamster. Yeah. Yes. It's always awkward when I do these videos because you can see my hand now, but see if I do hand gestures down here, you don't see them. So sometimes there's hand gestures that you don't see, and in those awkward silences, it's just it's because I'm doing something with my hand to sort of express what I'm talking about, and you don't see it. I don't think about it much. Anyway, so it's obviously 2017, so hopefully it'll be a good year for everyone. Who knows? But there are some exciting things coming for this channel. I've got lots of things planned, and there is something really, really cool that I will be showing you guys in a future video that will come out probably in a few days after this one. I built a new PC. It's the first time I've ever done it. It was quite exciting. I intended to do a build log, but I don't know. I was too excited, and in this sort of my excitement, I just built the whole thing in a day and a bit. It took me quite some time. I've got to say, it was fun, but fuck me, I don't want to do it again. The motherboards and stuff, there's not enough standoff screws to the case and the way it's designed, so then when you push components into it, you can see the whole board flexes, and I didn't want to push down too hard because it was I don't know how much you can do that. I got really nervous doing it, but you had to just lock things in place, and it was ridiculous. I was just sort of shocked that it was just so flimsy. It felt like if you push too hard, you might actually break your own motherboard. I would do it again, but it was just, I was very nervous. There were a lot of components that never were pushed in correctly, and so when I went to check back, I had to re-push a lot of them in. The graphics card was one of them. One of the RAMs weren't installed correctly. So many things that just didn't get installed correctly because I didn't want to push on it too hard. The other thing I can say is they make it so bloody confusing. They give you screws for pretty much everything. You get everything you need if you buy all the correct components, but then the packaging in a lot of it was terrible. There was very little labeling. The case I got came with a bunch of screws for the motherboard and for whatever else you needed, and there was no indication as to what screws were what, because there was 4 or 5 different types. I only ever needed to use one. I don't know what the hell the rest were for, and it just I couldn't understand why they didn't just label them. It's just a simple, they labeled the screws in their instruction books, A to F or whatever. But the package that the screws were in, little clear plastic bags, none of them had a screw in it. Oh, not a screw. They had screws in them. It didn't have a label. It just no labels. And the screws had no indication either. And it wasn't one of those instruction books where the screws on the book are to scale, so they were just all randomly sized. So you put, I don't know if you, IKEA I think do it, where they don't label their screws and stuff, but if you're not sure, you can put the screw on the page, or the bolt, or whatever it is, and it should be the right, you can just visibly see, yes, that's this one, I can use it for that thing, right? They didn't do that. It was just, they were all oddly scaled. There was no, it was just a weird thing. You pay a lot of money for all the parts, and you'd think they would do it, but they didn't. Because it wouldn't be hard to change the scale on at least the instruction book. But anyway, the other thing that annoys me is I've got to buy some more parts for it to finish it off. Like when you're first building a PC, you don't know about all the things. And I bought a case that came with 3 case fans already installed. And most motherboards, obviously, if you've ever built a PC, they don't really come with many case fan slots. You only get, on the one I got, I've only got 2 places to install a case fan. I bought an extra case fan because it was recommended for an exhaust, as an exhaust. So there's 3 intake, 1 exhaust, and then there's the CPU cooler system, which is another 2 fans as well. There's a lot of fans in this computer, which, I mean, I personally wanted it after dealing with my laptop overheating, especially in Australia on the hot days when it gets like 35 degrees. That extra room temperature heat, my laptop would often just overheat itself, and it would get slow to the point, and eventually would just turn off. I didn't want to deal with that anymore. I was kind of done. So I did go probably a bit overboard in terms of the cooling. It's not water cooling, or actually, I did get an all-in-one water cooler loop system for the CPU, but that's it. There's no like custom-built water cooling, which would have been better probably. But I don't think I'll ever run into problems. There's 4 case fans. The graphics card's got 2 fans on itself, and the CPU has a 2-fan all-in-one cooler system. If it ever overheats, something goes wrong. Something would be very wrong. I was a bit worried about getting the all-in-one cooler because I was reading that sometimes you get unlucky and they leak. They shouldn't do it, but if they do, it could mean the end of your motherboard or the end of your something, because the liquid would just fall onto whatever. In this case, if it leaks, it would probably ruin my motherboard, possibly my graphics card, because it's like a standard case. The motherboard's vertical. As far as I can tell, that's pretty standard. I don't think they do it any other way. But yeah, it was an experience. I enjoyed it. I was going to get a friend to help me, but as I said, I was just so excited I got straight into it. And it wasn't hard. It was very easy to build the computer overall. And I enjoyed it. It was an experience that was quite cool. Hopefully, actually, through this video, I've edited in maybe like some shots of the PC, because it's a pretty cool looking PC. At least I think it is. Maybe I'm probably a bit biased because it's my first one. There are a few things I could do better. I know that I've realized now that if you don't buy custom length cable, or just custom cables in general, it can look a bit untidy, because there's nowhere to put some of them. Like my graphics card power cable, it's just this weird bulky thing, and it has a bunch of parallel attachments, and like I've put the very end one onto the graphics card to power it up, but then there's like one 5 centimeters down that wire, and there's this like this little thing off the side, and there's this red thing in my case, and because it's a glass side panel case, which looks good, there's just a red thing in the middle of the case, and it looks a bit funny. There's a few wires that I didn't do very well. I mean, I could have probably paid some money and gotten someone to just do the whole build, but I don't know. I don't think they would have gotten much better. I don't think they would have installed custom cables. They would have, put the ones that came with whatever I had in, and then if I wanted it to look better, then maybe pay for custom cables, and that'd probably be like an extra $100 just for the various ones that would look better if they were cut to size, or not cut to size, but were adjusted, because I don't think you cut them. You buy custom cables that are like specific to whatever you want, and yeah. the only thing I can say, it's actually really cool. So all my fans are LED fans, the 3 case ones that came with it. Um, I can change whatever color they are. The exhaust fan is just a standard blue color because I wanted the whole thing to be white, blue, and black. So I can't change the back one. I could if I wanted to, like I go and buy the same fan that's at the front and put it on the back, and then there's the controller, and then it'd all be the same color, like it's synchronized and stuff. And it would look really cool if I did it. But I don't know. The fan that comes with it, it's just far more, like it was sort of $20 or $30 for just this RGB controlled, fan. It was a bit bad. So the only thing I've got to do in terms of finishing up the build, I have to buy 3 cables, maybe buy 1 cable, like a white sleeved cable or something like that, because the graphics card cable is a bit bad looking in the case, and maybe do a little bit of tidying up of what is there, and then it will look pretty good. Yeah. The only thing that sucks is my all-in-one cooler didn't come with its power cable for the pump. So I lodged a warranty thing, and I hope they'll send it. I haven't checked if they have responded yet. But at the moment, it's just running off a PlayStation USB charger cable, because it's micro USB to USB. So hopefully that's fine for now. I mean, it's definitely keeping the CPU cool. I don't think it's gone beyond like 40 degrees Celsius, which is awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think I've talked about this for a while. It was such a cool thing to do. Like, I never thought I would do it in the last couple months. I just didn't think I would. And then I've done it, and it's like, wow. It's a lot cooler than I thought it would be. I'm glad that I did it. It was a fun thing. Yeah. So, because of this computer, though, the cool things that are going to happen for the channel are, well, basically, it's very simple. More games, more consistently, better quality footage. I won't have any problems with like recording, as far as I can tell. And I'll go into more detail in a separate video on the actual build of the computer. I'll probably open it up and stuff, and sort of show stuff around when it's finished, and show like a finished build or whatever. At least that's the hope. We'll see. But yeah, more games, better games as well. Like games that I wanted to play that I couldn't previously because my laptop couldn't handle it, or I just didn't feel like the laptop served the game justice sometimes, and I didn't play them. There's a few games like that. I never played through Alien Isolation. I played like the first mission or level or whatever it is, or maybe the first few, I don't really remember. And then I stopped playing because my laptop just didn't do the game justice, I think. And I installed it. I just quickly did the survivor mode just to see what it looked like, and the alien scared the crap out of me immediately. Like I took a few steps when I went around a corner. I didn't hear a thing because I hadn't installed the drivers for my headset for the surround sound, and suddenly I just get turned around and there's this thing. I jumped and screamed a little. It was. I really wasn't expecting it because I didn't know the alien was in that level, or in the survivor stuff. It doesn't tell you, so I wasn't prepared for that. Yeah. So hopefully we'll. I think I'm gonna do a playthrough of Alien Isolation, a couple other games as well. I want to play through. What's it called? Wolfenstein: The New Order. I got that during the Steam sale. Dishonored, and there's another one. Oh, Mountain Blade Warband. I want to play through all those as well as Command and Conquer. Like just go through all of them. I really want to finish it. Like it was a goal I set out to finish, and I didn't really get far through because I got busy and I got bored and all sorts of things, and it just and I want to finish it, and hopefully I do. Um, the only thing I can say is that the content won't come out soon. It'll probably be in a couple of weeks. My plan is to create a very large backlog, so that when I do go back to uni, there's like videos for days basically. I don't have to worry about a lot of them. I just don't want to have to try and like record a lot whilst I'm at uni, or whilst I'm doing it at least. I want to try and keep it to a minimum. Like, I'm working out like how often I'll do it. I'll still record, but I just don't want to be trying to record every day to make sure my channel's still getting content coming through, and stuff like that. But I mean, I probably will find that I'll be editing more than recording. So I'll have a big backlog of like raw videos, and then I'll have to edit them all. And my plan is, as always, it's going to be basic editing. I don't want to. Maybe a few games I might go and do a bit more thorough editing, like Mountain Blade Warband. I feel like that maybe, because there's a lot of times when you really do just sit there and you wait around a lot for events to happen, or for you to do something. And it's not that I don't like the waiting parts, it's just they can be long. Like I was playing through this morning just to see how it was, if I still enjoyed it, because I haven't played it for a very long time. And I do enjoy it still. That's the good news. But there was a lot of waiting around. Like the faction I was with, after becoming a vassal for them, they immediately made peace with everyone. Or they did it around the same time, and it really sucked, because with all those truces you can't attack anyone, and as a result I was running out of money pretty quick, because I don't really have any, like in the early game of Mountain Blade Warband, I feel like the easiest way to make money is through raiding. You just raid enemy villages, you get a bunch of stuff, you sell it all, and then later on you start investing into cities and stuff, and then once your investments come through, you know, that's when it's sort of like this. It's a very slow process to start gaining a lot of money, and your army can get very expensive very quickly. I think the things I've learned just from my quick playthrough, you don't want to upgrade every unit as soon as you can. Sometimes you're better off leaving a bunch of them as the same, like at a certain level, until you do have the money to handle it all, because I just upgraded everything to max, and my army's strong. Like, I don't lose many units because of all my skills and stuff in a battle, but and it's very easy to win. It's just expensive. So you've got to find battles and stuff, and you've got to constantly fight it. And it's hard as a result, because the faction I think towards the end of my little playthrough, my faction eventually went to war with another faction, and that helped, but it was just hard. So I'm gonna restart it, because I wanna take what I sort of learned and sort of perform a bit better, because it's one of those things, like the game itself, if you want to do a full playthrough and try and become the king of the whole lands, could easily take over like 400 hours, maybe even 500 hours just to finish that, because it's difficult. It's like a strategy RPG, and it's really I enjoy it a lot. Like, it's a really cool concept. It's very hard. You can really easily just die out and stuff like that, and there are times when you get really unlucky, like you go somewhere and you suddenly run into a huge war party, and they happen to not like you, and they'll just wipe out your entire force, imprison you, and then you take a bunch of, like, all your stuff. Like, it can get really tough sometimes, because there are times in the game where you can just suddenly go from being like almost top dog to back down to where you started, and then you got to build your way back up. And it can like it sucks when that happens, but it's also an enjoyable experience. It's like I like it quite a lot. The only thing I don't like in the game is that you can't die, and it might sound strange, but I feel like it would be an interesting addition to it if you could just die out of nowhere. Like you enter a battle that you shouldn't have, and you die, and then that's it. Your adventure's over. I understand that it'd probably ruin the game in a way because you could just get unlucky and like 30 minutes into it, you enter a battle and you die. So you got to start over. I think it makes sense that they don't do that, but you know, yeah. Other games, as I said, Dishonored. The Dishonored I really want to play. I'm sort of debating on how I want to push out the videos. Like, if I want to do like maybe 2 Let's Plays in sort of at the same time, or if I want to try and keep it to 1 Let's Play with the addition of these videos every now and then, and some other stuff, or if I want to mix it up, like I said, with maybe 2. I don't think I would go to 3 because that would just burn out the videos a bit, and I'd lose focus on some of them. Like, what I want to do is I want to focus on 2 games at the very least, or at the very most, sorry. That way I can keep interested in them all. I don't want to lose interest and then stop playing through, because that was partly the problem with Command and Conquer. I was trying to play too many games, and then I got interested in the other ones, and then I got bored of those. The only game that won't really be a Let's Play but will pop up quite frequently is Overwatch. I think I'll record competitive mode games and all sorts of things like that. And hopefully they go well. And they'll pop up quite frequently because I do just play it a lot still. It's just a game I enjoy. I don't think I will stop enjoying it for a while. They just released the new map onto live, which is Oasis. I haven't played it yet. I went to try and play it on the PTR, and it was the PTR was just bonked through, and I got a bit bored around that time of Overwatch. There was just a bunch of things happening. I went and played Terraria quite a bit, which is another game I think I might play, but it's a bit difficult. My monitor now is 4K resolution, and some games don't support that, Terraria being one of them, so I had to mod it to just get it to work and be full screen. And the problem is, I don't know how that will look if it gets scaled back down to like 1080p. I know I can probably record it at 4K. I was testing that with a couple of games. I can do that. I just have to tweak settings a bit because it's a bit choppy at times. Like the bit rate seems to just sort of fluctuate. That may just be an occurrence with the NVIDIA recorder thing. I don't know what exactly it is. Yeah, the NVIDIA one, it doesn't, I don't know. I was playing Fallout 4 and trying to record it, and it like gets really choppy, and it's hard to explain, but it just does. It was weird. I couldn't quite understand what was happening. Yeah, because I mean, I suppose there is the possibility. I was playing with the game on like max settings pretty much. I just whatever the games are loading up on, I've been just playing them because most games detect what kind of system you have, and then they determine what graphics settings you can use. So it was detecting, GTX 1070 and all that. And I was like, yep, you can have ultra settings or whatever. So I don't know if it detects the graphics card or just the graphics card's power, like if it's strong enough to do it. But it figured out something, and it just puts it on ultra. Most games do. I think only one didn't, and that was, I think it's just because it remembered my settings from like some games they remember the settings for controls and all that. I'm through Steam, and it seems that they remember the graphics settings as well. I don't know why, but I had to change it. Other than that, everything has been max settings as soon as I launch it, which is pretty cool. It's weird at the same time. Like, there's a part of me that's sort of, I don't understand it. It's like I see a game at like, because it may be hard to understand, but I typically never played games above medium graphics settings. Normally it was never above 40, not 40, never really got above like 25 FPS. I was actually used to playing games at 14 frames per second. It was something I just was used to. Like, it didn't bother me when it was on it because I just had played games like that for so long. There was a few that never were like that. Like Overwatch, I think was always fairly high. I was like around 30 FPS, and there's a couple that were a bit lower at times. Like Minecraft got very sort of choppy frame rate wise in the first Azercraft season, because I built so many logistics pipes, and it died. My graphics card or whatever was rendering all that, it couldn't handle it, and the frame rate disappeared. And it wasn't just that, there was a couple other problems. A couple of mods have those like lights that just add light sources, and it was struggling to calculate how to render it all because it didn't understand. I don't know if it's just optimization error or something, but it really killed my frame rate. We removed, I think it was the Thermcraft lanterns that light everything up, and the base got really, like, the FPS improved pretty quickly, but it was still the problem with the logistics pipes. It just overall was just a pain in the ass to figure everything out. yeah. So lots of things coming. As with all these rambling with Jamsters, I'm pretty sure I went off topic on a lot of things. I probably didn't even say what I intended to say. Other than I know I talked about games that are coming to my computer a bit. I don't think I mentioned the vlogs that should come out in a couple weeks, in the next week, which is I went to Fraser Island, which I've pretty much been doing every year for like the past 10 years. So I recorded a vlog there. It's not anything crazy good. It wasn't what I wanted to record. It just rained so much, so we didn't really go anywhere on Fraser Island. It was just too heavy rain, too much heavy rain, and then on top of that, the tracks got really boggy. So even like good cars that are designed for that stuff, they would get involved constantly. So it was really like, if you wanted to go somewhere, it was a very slow process. You were constantly running into cars that were bonked, or you ran into like sections of sand that people have gotten bogged in there, just dug these huge trenches, and it's very muddy in them, and it was impossible to drive through. Almost like we spent 40-ish minutes trying to get through one of them, because we kept, as we drove along the track, we tried to drive on the center sort of. So when you go full driving through sand, there's like the tire tracks, and when you drive, the sort of center between the two tires, sand gets pushed up there. So we tried to drive along that and along the side of the track where people hadn't driven, and every time, because it's soft sand, the car slid into the track, and then it got really hard to drive through. So yeah, there were a lot of times when things I wanted to record and I didn't, because it's also hard in Fraser Island. There's a lot of lakes that you got to walk a fair distance to get to, which is mostly what you'd record if you went there to vlog. I'm sure there's probably been someone else who's been there and vlogged stuff, and if you try to go to some of the lakes, you got to walk quite a distance, and you just don't want to carry so much extra weight. I did record me walking about 4Ks by myself down to some creek that I never had been to, it wasn't that exciting, but it's something. Uh, but one thing I learned from it all was as I was vlogging and recording all this stuff, I realized how easy it was to sort of change the picture, change the story, and make it seem like it was so much better. All I had to do was just record just the sunny parts, because there were some sunny sections throughout the day, and if I just did that, it would have been, a completely different story. You instead of having what really happened, you would have this really interesting thing. But to me, that's just a bit dodgy. I just didn't want to do it, but I realized you could do it. You could easily do it, and it wouldn't take much time. So, yeah. Well, I think I've talked for quite some time, over 30 minutes. Jesus. I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.